I bet you didn't know that while billionaires are buying their third super yacht, millions of people can't even afford a loaf of bread. Right, let's address the elephant in the room. Or rather, the obscenely wealthy giraffe in the room filled with starving children. It's a bit mad, isn't it? We live in a world where some people have more money than they could ever spend, while others struggle to afford their next meal. It's like a real-life episode of Squid Game, but with less red jumpsuits and even more questionable morality. The numbers are staggering. According to Oxfam, the world's 10 richest men own more wealth than the poorest 40% of the entire global population. That's 3.1 billion people, mate. Think about that for a second. While billionaires are blasting off into space for a laugh, millions are struggling to survive on less than £2 a day. It doesn't take a genius to see that something is fundamentally wrong with this picture. This isn't just a gap between rich and poor. It's a bloody chasm, a gaping maw of inequality that's swallowing up basic human dignity. So how did we get here? Buckle up, because we're about to dive headfirst into the murky depths of wealth inequality. Let's be clear. Becoming a billionaire is rarely about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. It's more like being handed a pair of rocket-powered, diamond-encrusted boots and a map to a hidden gold mine. The system, as it stands, is rigged in favor of the already wealthy. Firstly, we've got our good friend, capitalism. Now, don't get me wrong, a bit of healthy competition can be a good thing, but unbridled capitalism is like giving a toddler a chainsaw, messy and dangerous. Without proper regulation and oversight, the pursuit of profit trumps all else, leading to exploitation, environmental destruction, and, you guessed it, massive wealth inequality. Then there are the tax loopholes, those delightful little legal loopholes that allow the super rich to dodge paying their fair share. It's like a game of hide and seek, but instead of hiding in a cupboard, they're hiding their billions in offshore accounts and shell corporations. Meanwhile, the rest of us are stuck footing the bill for essential public services. Now let's talk about corporations, those behemoths of industry that often seem to exist in a moral vacuum. Their primary objective? Profit maximization. And how do they achieve this? By keeping costs low and profits high, often at the expense of their workers. We've all heard horror stories about sweatshops, unfair wages, and worker exploitation. But it's not just happening in developing countries. It's happening right under our noses. From Amazon, warehouse workers denied bathroom breaks to delivery drivers forced to work grueling hours for pennies. The pursuit of profit often comes at a hefty human cost. And don't even get me started on corporate lobbying, where companies spend billions each year to influence politicians and shape legislation in their favor. It's like a real-life game of Monopoly, except the get-out-of-jail-free card is bought and paid for by corporations, and the rest of us are stuck in a never-ending cycle of paying rent. So, we've established that the system is a bit dodgy, but is it actually immoral to be incredibly wealthy? It's a question that has plagued philosophers and ethicists for centuries. On the one hand, we celebrate entrepreneurship and hard work. On the other hand, does anyone really need that many yachts? The argument goes that billionaires are job creators and that their wealth trickles down to the rest of us. But let's be honest, mate, that's about as convincing as a £3 note. The reality is that extreme wealth often leads to extreme inequality, which has a whole host of negative consequences for society. Studies have shown that high levels of inequality are linked to increased crime, reduced social mobility, and poorer health outcomes. It creates a society where opportunities are limited, and the gap between the haves and the have-nots continues to widen. So, while being rich isn't inherently immoral, hoarding wealth on a massive scale while others struggle to survive raises some serious ethical questions. Now, before we go full-blown communist manifesto, let's be clear. Capitalism isn't all bad. It has, after all, brought about significant advancements in technology, medicine, and living standards for many. But the question remains, is the system inherently flawed? The problem with unfettered capitalism is that it prioritizes profit over people and the planet. It's kind of like a runaway train hurtling towards a cliff edge, and honestly, we're all just clinging on for dear life. We need to find a way to harness the power of the free market while ensuring that it works for everyone, not just the privileged few. Some argue for a more regulated form of capitalism, with stronger social safety nets, progressive taxation, and, stricter regulations on corporations. Others believe that a more radical overhaul is needed, one that prioritizes sustainability, equality, and the common good. Whatever the solution, one thing is clear: the status quo is not sustainable. The age-old argument. We need billionaires to fund innovation. It sounds good on paper, doesn't it? Billionaires with their bottomless pits of money, funding groundbreaking research, curing diseases, and solving world hunger. But is it really that simple? Sure, some billionaires are philanthropists, donating to worthy causes and funding important research. But let's not forget that many of these same billionaires made their fortunes by exploiting loopholes, dodging taxes, and engaging in practices that actively harm society. The truth is, innovation doesn't rely solely on the whims of billionaires. Governments and publicly funded institutions play a crucial role in funding research and development. Imagine if, instead of relying on the charitable impulses of the ultra-wealthy, we had a system where everyone contributed their fair share, and those resources were used to fund innovation for the benefit of all. Alright, so we've established that the wealth gap is a bit of a problem, but what can we actually do about it? It's easy to feel overwhelmed, like we're trying to bail out the Titanic with a teaspoon. But don't despair just yet. There are a number of potential solutions, and no, eat the rich isn't one of them, tempting as it may seem. One idea is to tackle those pesky tax loopholes that allow the super rich to avoid paying their fair share. Imagine a world where corporations and wealthy individuals actually contributed to society in proportion to their wealth. Shocking, I know. Another solution is to implement a wealth tax, a small tax on the assets of the ultra-wealthy. It wouldn't bankrupt them. They'd still be able to afford that solid gold yacht. But it would generate significant revenue that could be used to fund essential public services, invest in education and healthcare, and create a more equitable society. Beyond policy solutions, we need to have a serious conversation about our values as a society. Is it acceptable that we live in a world where some people have more money than they could ever possibly need, while others struggle to put food on the table? What does it say about us as a species? We've become obsessed with wealth, with the pursuit of more. It's time to reevaluate what truly matters: community, compassion, and the well-being of all. We need to move away from a culture of individualism and greed towards a more equitable and sustainable future. This isn't about punishing success or demonizing wealth. It's about creating a world where everyone has an equal opportunity to thrive. It's about ensuring that the basic needs of all are met, regardless of their background or circumstances. So, we've reached the big question, the one that has been looming over this entire discussion: should billionaires even exist? It's a complex issue with no easy answers. On the one hand, we value individual freedom and the right to accumulate wealth. On the other hand, can we truly call ourselves a just and equitable society when such extreme disparities exist? Ultimately, the answer to this question lies in our collective conscience. Do we believe that such vast concentrations of wealth are morally justifiable? Are we comfortable with a system that allows a select few to amass unimaginable fortunes while millions struggle to survive? There's no right or wrong answer, but it's a question we can no longer afford to ignore. The future of our planet and the well-being of billions depend on the choices we make today. So, what do you think? Should billionaires exist?